This is my review of the new Laowa 58mm ultra macro lens that goes to 2x magnification. This lens is remarkably similar to the Laowa 90mm, both in size and in pretty much every other regard as well, as you will see in this video. And actually I was a little bit surprised by this. When I received the lens, I had expected it to be a lot smaller than a 90mm, but it isn't. It's almost exactly the same size. It's a little tad smaller and a little tad lighter, but it's pretty much the same size and weight as the 90mm. This is of course a completely manual lens with no electronics whatsoever, with manual focus. And it's made for mirrorless cameras, so it's not available for DSLRs. I asked Laowa, why did you make this lens? It's so similar to the 90mm. And they were like, yeah, we had to discontinue the 60mm, but a lot of people liked that one, so we made the 58mm to replace it. But the thing is, the reason people, at least the reason I, liked the 60mm was that it was a good alternative to the very heavy and long 100mm. But now that the 90mm exists, which is a lot smaller and lighter than 100mm, the Laowa 60mm is not that interesting anymore. And the question is, how interesting can the 58mm be? We will look at a lot of images in a second, but let's first talk about the differences between these two lenses. The difference is of course the focal length. With the 58mm lens you get a focal length that is more close to a standard lens. So if you plan to use it for more things than macro photography, like all-round photography, maybe a shorter focal length like 58mm is better for you. But if you plan to use the lens more for portraits beside macro photography, then maybe the 90mm is the better option. When it comes to macro photography, it is pretty damn hard to spot any difference at all between these two lenses. I mean, look at these photos. Can you see any difference at all? They were shot at the same magnification roughly. And as you can see, focal length doesn't really matter that much when you go beyond 1x magnification. At 1x or 2x magnification, I don't think it's possible to see any difference at all between these two lenses, and the image quality is also pretty much the same. It is excellent sharpness at all apertures, no chromatic aberrations, or at least it's very well controlled. But there is one small difference when it comes to macro photography, and that is the working distance. The 58mm has around 6 cm working distance at 2x magnification, while you get 1.5 cm more, 7.5 cm, with a 90mm. This is a very small difference, but it is a difference. And at 1x magnification the difference is bigger. Then you get 6.5 cm of working distance with the 58mm and 10 cm working distance with the 90mm. So you get a little bit more working distance with a 90mm, and I know that a lot of people will prefer a longer working distance. For me personally, I actually prefer a shorter working distance. I think it is easier to find the subject in the frame when you're shooting with a short working distance, and also when I'm doing freehand focus stacking, I actually prefer a short working distance because then I can place the lens on my hand like this, and then I can hold the leaf that the insect is sitting on with the other hand. And this is of course easier when the working distance is a little bit smaller. So I think I actually prefer the 58mm focal length for macro photography. As we have come to expect from Laowa, the build quality is excellent. This lens has soft clicks which feel good. The lens looks very good, and it's made all out of metal. The focusing ring feels very nice. Although on my lens I have a bit of a click, an oily click. Listen to this. Can you hear it? I'm not sure why, maybe it's just on this particular unit, but there is like a very quiet but still audible click at a certain place here on the focusing ring, right when I switch between 1 and 2x magnification. Not sure why, but I just wanted to mention it. But I've used a lot of Laowa lenses and they have never broken for me, or I never had any other problems with quality. I think they are pretty solid. Let's look at some macro photos that I took when I was out walking with this lens. Normally I make the whole video as a photo walk when I review a macro lens, and this is what I did this time as well, but unfortunately I managed to delete all the video footage of me doing the photo walk. I guess that happens sometimes when I'm not careful, but I did at least retain the photos, and you are looking at them right now. As you can see, the photos look nice. The rendering is very similar to the Laowa 90mm and the Laowa 100mm. I am not able to spot much of a difference. The sharpness is absolutely excellent at all apertures, and I'm actually impressed by the sharpness that Laowa delivers on these more modern macro lenses. I did not see any chromatic aberration, and yeah, the lens just works great, has perfect image quality and a good price point. So I would definitely recommend this lens. The big question though is if you should buy the 58mm or the 90mm. That's up to you to decide based on the differences I mentioned earlier in this video. Please also check out my lens guide, my macro lens guide, where I try to guide you to the right macro lens for you. It depends on what camera you have and some other things, and I will ask you some simple questions in this lens guide to help you pick the right Laowa macro lens for you. And of course I've updated the lens guide now with the 58mm from Laowa. But in summary, this is a great lens. It is very similar to the 90mm. They are almost the same lens. There is not much of a difference between them. And no matter which one you pick of these two, you will have an excellent macro lens. Thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe if you like macro photography. That's what my channel is all about. And see you very soon again. This is my latest Patreon bonus video. It is 1 hour of me critiquing many photos of my Patreon supporters. Another bonus video is this macro photography adventure to a nature reserve. I create a new Patreon exclusive bonus video every month, and for $5 per month you can get access to this growing archive of videos and sleep better at night knowing that you ensure the future of this YouTube channel. Sign up now at patreon.com/Micael Widell.